I didn't really have the goal of getting a golden door right away this year. It kind of clicked into me like right in March before we came out, as I was meeting more guys and seeing, hey, these guys are all the same. Like, they're not that much different.
No, they really aren't.
Like, they're not that much different. And if you just go out with the crazy, stupid belief that Zach Seeger has, and then focus on the hard work part that, like, you know, Adam has and all these other guys, like, they just showed me that it was so possible. So I didn't really like have the goal until I could see that it was possible with all these other guys. But once I saw that, like, you know, Zach Kinzel, he did like 200K and then came over to 650. Like, there's just too many results for me to not believe that I can go do the same thing.
All right, welcome everybody out to the D2D Podcast. Here with the Golden Door Deep Dive segment, where I, your host, Roz, pick the brains of the Golden Door winners of this past year. We're blessed to have with us Mr. Bailey Stanley, just fresh off of a pest control summer.
Yes, sir.
Another $650,000 revenue, man. How many accounts did that equate to, my guy?
About 575.
575.
Yep.
So another bad summer to be a bug. Where were you out?
So we were out in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Yeah. Okay, so you're out with Seeger, Adam Clark, and Cody, and
a bunch of those guys. Cody was down in South Jersey.
That's awesome. Yeah, we just had Cody in here this morning. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, absolute bomb dropper.
Yeah.
So
he's got some wisdom.
He's got some wisdom.
Sure.
Excited to pick your brain. How old are you, man?
I'm 23.
You're 23.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of you great guys are about 23, 24.
Yeah, like 22, 25, that range.
Yeah, you guys are young.
Yeah,
so,
very.
Walk me through your background. How'd you get in the industry?
So I originally started out up in Idaho doing construction, that kind of stuff. And my buddy Adam Clark, who also got
Shout
a
out.
Door, he went out his first summer, and I could kind of see on his social media what he was doing each day, how many he was selling. And then at the end of the summer, while I was like doing all the construction work and stuff, I saw what he made. And eventually I was just like, well, I got to make the jump. I got to at least go try. And that's how I got into it, because I didn't even know door-to-door was a thing until like I saw him doing it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got started into this. Sold for 2 years over at Anthem down in Atlanta, Georgia. Did pretty good down there, and then moved over to the Great last year, and good things happened.
There we go.
Yeah.
So you're from the farm up in Idaho.
Yep.
Potato land.
Potato land.
You're from construction, kind of a more traditional like blue collar work kind of thing. We were kind of jamming on the before the podcast a little bit, how like sales wasn't even like an option for you. It didn't even like cross your mind as anything to do. So, you talked about Adam being a big driving factor in that, but what was like the main point of that made you want to take the plunge?
Making the plunge for me was just I wanted to change in what I was doing with my life. Like, construction was great and everything, but I didn't want to be a weekend warrior. I didn't want to work Monday through Friday until I was 60 and, then get out of it and go travel when I'm old. So eventually it was making too much sense to go and try something new and risk it while I was young. And that's what got me to like make that jump, is seeing other people go out and work for 4 or 5 months, and then the rest of the year get to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And travel and invest and get a house still and just have these crazy cool lives.
Yeah. And that was something, Cody and I were jamming on today. It was just like the beautiful opportunity that is door to door, in the sense of like, we're in a system that is designed to, like, it sounds so dark, but it's basically to create 9-to-5 slaves.
Yeah, we really are.
And like, as I'm not trying to get political, not trying to be weird, but like, I mean, basically, like, yeah, even if you do get that like degree, get that 6-figure salary, like, what's the freedom in that?
Exactly.
You get 3 weeks of vacation, and then, you get to see your kids for like an hour a day, if that, because no 9-to-5 is truly 8 hours.
No, it really isn't.
Sometimes it takes you an hour to drive there, hour to drive back, and then the time in between. Like, so I love that, we kind of like, people are starting to wake up to that, especially like the door-to-door hustlers that are up and grinding, getting those golden doors.
Right.
So you come from the farm, you hop into door to door. Walk me through your progression year over year.
So my first year I was selling down in Atlanta, Georgia. Really had no idea what I was doing. Like just kind of went out. I trained quite a bit before. But it went out that summer, did my best. I sold 175K, which was like 320 accounts back then. So it was definitely lower CV than it is now. Rookie of the year, that was awesome. Loved it. Went out my second year, had a little progression, did 190K with 350 accounts. So there was a little bit of growth, but not just enough to what I was like super happy with.
Yeah.
And that's also what, made me make that jump over to the grit, is just like the systems they had in place, the training, and ultimately you just could come over and execute instead of like figuring out how to do all that. You just come in and do it. And this year, sold 650K, 575 accounts. I could say it went pretty well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I kind of want to speak to that because a lot of people, they want to have that big jump. Mm-hmm. But they maybe only sell like a handful of extra accounts their next year, or sometimes some guys even do worse the next year.
Yeah.
So what's the X factor there?
I don't really know if there was an X factor for me. It was just about changing my environment and getting around more people that wanted to push more and go for bigger things and weren't okay with just, doing the same thing or just a little bit better each year. Yeah. I just always felt like I had more to give and I didn't know how to give more. If that makes sense. So when I came over to the grit, I think just like the most basic answer is just like they have the systems. Yeah. They have the trainings, they have the leaders to push you. They have the guys that want way more. And when you're around that that type of group, it ultimately just makes you want to be part of that too as a competitor.
Excellent.
So for me, I mean, we talked a lot about competing and winning, talked a lot about Tim Grover. And I think that pushed me a lot this year was just way more competition. So it could be a number of things. I don't know if I can nail it down to one, but yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, probably culture, belief, environment is those are all huge factors.
Yeah, they really are.
So one thing I kind of want to get into, I mean, 36 Golden Door winners from Grit. Most of my interviews have been with you guys recently, which has been awesome for sure. Mm-hmm. And for those listening, this isn't like a plug to, for you guys to go work for Grit. Like, everyone, there's multiple different industries here, but I guess where I'm trying to go with this is when you're in a place where there are a lot of top performers, how do you not fall into the trap of comparison and kind of feeling like you're not enough?
It's hard. It's really hard when you have that many top performers around you. You can kind of feel like you're just another fish in the sea. But ultimately, if you don't have that many people around you competing and you're always number 3 or number 2 or 4, it's easier to get complacent when you don't have as much competition. At our last company, that we would always, be top 5 on the day, even if we didn't sell as well as we might have on our good days. So the drive, the hunger wasn't there. But when you're around so many other people selling that high of numbers each day and getting those high results, it's really hard to just not want to go and be number 1.
Yeah.
Or at least 2 or 3 or top 10. That was a big thing for us this summer. It's just being in the top 10 was super, super hard each day. And if you're always pushing for that and have 50, 60, 70 other guys going for it, it's going to push you to be better no matter what.
Absolutely. And one big thing too, for those listening that have groups and organizations, one thing that Grit culture does very well is with their top guys, they also have a strong humility about them. Mm-hmm. You talk to a Seeger, you talk to Cody Olive, you talk to Alec Withers. It's these are also regular dudes who aren't flaunting their accomplishment at you.
Right.
They're not guys that are closing off, that are oh, I'm too good for you because I sold twice as much as you. Mm-hmm. So maintaining that level of humility and just being willing to be an open book and share what it's taking, because the rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah, it does.
And it's cool to see people that have that abundance mindset, to where it's hey, we're all in this together. It's not just about me, it's about we.
Right.
So Love that you guys are all about that. So let's kind of dive into the summer a little bit.
Okay.
So New Jersey, East Coast, very like, you know, kind of quick and to the point.
Yeah, get to it.
How'd you like the market there?
I liked it a lot more because I was used to selling down in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
That's where my first 2 years were. And
people are more chatty there, aren't they?
Way more chatty. It's what do you do for work? How long you been here? How many kids you got? You know, what do you guys like to do on the weekend? And in Jersey, it's like, all right, I'm here for a reason. Like, let's get to it.
Yeah, you start asking those questions. They give you that look of like, I don't have all day, dude. Like,
yeah, no, it was much more quick pace. And I feel like that I like that more because I'm more business side than it is like rapport. So I definitely responded to that well, I think. Yeah, it definitely helped me go a little bit quicker with stuff because I don't like to sit there and chat about everything. Obviously, I do care, but I want to get through it. And I was able to adapt to that pretty quick.
Yeah, well, it is nice because when you're talking to people that are like that, if they're talking to you, then they actually are interested.
Yeah, and obviously you can feel that. Yeah. But over there, it's definitely more of like, all right, what do you need? Like,
yeah, because you could be in Georgia and in the South, and it's like they could keep you talking for half an hour and not give a crap about what you were doing.
Nope, not at all. They just want to chat.
Yeah, they just want to fret. Especially, I remember knocking in Alabama during COVID, and it was like people just love to talk.
Yeah, it's something about the South.
So yeah, Southern hospitality, take it or leave it. It you know, and people thrive in those markets too.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be flexible and be able to do both.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, especially jumping from you know, $100K plus in revenue to $650,000 in revenue. What would you say, you know, aside from like culture, environment, everything like that? Well, let's go from more of like a sales technicality standpoint. Were you practicing your pitch? Were you learning overcoming objections better? What did that look like to you?
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, like my pitch changed when I came over to the Great because they have a different way of rolling out things, and obviously there's better ways to do stuff. So we were constantly learning the right ways to say it. But ultimately, like, we all say the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we really do. It's more about what you want. And I feel like this year for me, it was I just had a lot more behind me of like, I got something to prove. And that pushed me a lot more. And then getting around the right guys and being in an office with Seeger and Ethan Belknap and Adam Clark and Casper Block and just these huge heavy hitters. Like, ultimately, it wasn't much about the pitch. It was more about who I was around, what I wanted, and, you know, just working as a team with the guys.
Absolutely. Because we've seen it before where it's like, I remember when I was struggling on the doors and I'm asking the top rep in the office. I'm like, hey, let me come shadow you. Come shadow him. And I'm like, wow, my pitch is better than his pitch.
Yeah,
like,
it can really feel like that.
Like, he kind of sucks at this, actually. But the difference is he's closing the deal, and I wasn't closing the deal. So oftentimes it's just like, you know, it's not just the mentality, but it's just like the closing.
Yeah,
it's people actually getting the deal done. Was learning that process, was it uncomfortable for you? I mean, you're coming from construction, you're coming from not being like much of like a people person into like, you know, you're in somewhat of a high pressure scenario here with people. Yeah,
no, it was very different than like construction or like persuading people to get something done, especially to like give me their credit card. Like in my first 2 years, that's kind of what more I struggled with, was the closing and like not being afraid to just go for it. And like seeing Seeger and a couple of the other great guys, like watching them close, learning how they do it, getting the right trainings on closing, because that's like definitely the most important part. It definitely made a difference compared to like my first 2 years. Yeah, closing is way different, especially coming from like construction, labor, outside of like communication. Never thought I'd be in that like frame of work, but it just takes time. Like, no matter who you are, what you're doing, where you came from, you can totally come in and adapt these skills. It's gonna look different on a time scale for everybody. It might be 1 year you get it down, 2 years, 3, 4, you never know.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. A lot of people, I don't know how you are. Like, I came from a very like people pleasing background where it's like, oh, I don't want to like make you uncomfortable with my persistence here.
Right.
And then it, you know, I had to flip the script to be like, no, I'm not persistent. I'm just passionate.
Right.
Here. And it's like, I care about getting this done because I know it's a benefit.
Exactly.
And flipping that script is a huge difference maker for people. So, what would you tell the guy that's like kind of on the fence about maybe doing something like this, having an opportunity? Maybe he is like a blue collar 9-to-5 worker. Like he's feeling good about life. He's not really like feeling the call to action.
I mean, one thing I would say is just like, it doesn't matter what type of sales you want to try, whether it's pest, alarms, car salesman, like insurance, it doesn't really matter. I think sales can just totally change your life no matter what background you come from. And if you don't risk it, you're not going to get the reward. Like if nothing changes, nothing changes if nothing changes. So in order to go get something better that you want, you're going to have to risk a little bit. I think sales is a great platform to like actually get paid off of your effort and your time rather than just your time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people show up to their 9-to-5. They might even put in way more work than their like coworker, and they're making the same amount.
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, if you're going to go do something and risk it, do something that you're going to get paid for your effort rather than just your time.
Yeah. Because in door to door, it's like the guy who's going to Wendy's and sitting in his car all day, he's not getting paid.
Exactly. You're definitely not.
But if you're up at the crack of dawn, if you're up training, you're doing what needs to get done, odds are you're going to get paid a lot. Or if you're struggling, you'll catch on quick.
You're going to catch on. If you don't give up, you're going to catch on.
You never lose if you don't quit.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I love how, you are very much a product of environment. You're very much a product of like, I listen to you talk. I'm like, yeah, this is Zach Seeger talking.
Yeah, he's definitely bled into me a little bit over the last year.
Yeah, sure. and he's a friend. He's a good man. Loved hearing his wisdom and hearing all the Grits wisdom and you guys. What would you say is the biggest thing that sales itself has taught you?
Ooh, sales itself has taught me that confidence is everything, and what you believe is like your reality. Like your perception is your reality. So when you're out there knocking, or like no matter what you're doing, whatever you're thinking about what's about to happen, it's more likely to happen that way than it is like the way you're not thinking about. Like you kind of create your own reality, and whatever you think and manifest into your life, and like with the self-affirmations and everything, it's more likely to happen if you're thinking that way and believing that way than it is if you're just like hoping.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you have the belief and you truly embody it, you'll act accordingly.
Exactly. And sales has definitely taught me that like what you say matters, especially to yourself.
Yeah. And
you can go and create whatever life you want, but you really have to believe it and have the confidence in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Why did you have the goal to create or to go get a golden door?
I didn't really have the goal of getting a golden door right away this year. It kind of clicked into me like right in March before we came out, as I was meeting more guys and seeing, hey, these guys are all the same. Like they're not that much different.
No, they really aren't.
Like they're not that much different. And if you just go out with the crazy, stupid belief that Zach Seeger has, and then focus on the hard work part that like, Adam has and all these other guys, like they just showed me that it was so possible. So I didn't really like have the goal until I could see that it was possible with all these other guys. But once I saw that, like, Zach Kinzel, he did like 200K and then came over to 650. Like there's just too many results for me to not believe that I can go do the same thing.
Yeah.
And ultimately that's what got me to do it. And here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, this is something I've talked about in the podcast before, but it's like, yeah, talking to the Golden Door winners, it's like, really, there's like, obviously you guys are awesome, but you're no different than any, like,
no, like we're all just regular guys. Like it just like, it might look crazy, but I swear like day in, day out, we're all doing the same stuff as the 200K reps.
Yeah.
The 400K reps.
There's no special sauce. There's no like secret pitch.
No, there's not.
It's just everything we're talking about. Belief, it's culture. It's
not the technical stuff.
No,
it really isn't.
No. And that's like one of the coolest parts about, you know, doing the podcast and talking to you guys. It's like, you know, Alec Withers talking about how, you know, butterflies in the stomach, he's thrown up before the doors. It's like he's done this for years. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's human. Just like anyone else. And he's awesome. And he, you know, powering through that, like that's a huge thing. And a lot of people struggle with anxiety on the doors. Yeah. And, you know, it's just something people overcome. Yeah. Because of the depth of their conviction, which is very powerful.
It is. And like speaking on like the anxiety part, like my first 2 years, every drive out to area, I wouldn't even eat lunch. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, here we go. Just the uncertainty of every day. Like you have no idea what's going to happen. You go out with a good attitude and everything, but you still have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. Like remember looking at like the first house, you're about to knock and you're like, am I really about to go do this?
It's pretty crazy to look back on it.
Yeah. And it's, and then even like the first deal you get, you're like, you're like, how did I even do that?
Like, wow, this guy actually like trusted me. This is crazy. Now I'm going to take care of his pest control for him. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. You never forget your first one.
Yeah. You'll never forget your first. Yep. Tell me about your first deal.
Oh, my first deal, it was an older gentleman and I mean, my pitch just wasn't there. It was like out on a blitz preseason, February in Dallas. And it was like 6:00 at night. And we were running out of daylight because like it gets dark early that time of year. And I finally got this guy, like was able to talk to him a little bit, got him out in the front yard and he just wouldn't do it. And then for some reason, cause he was like doing it yourself. So I threw out the idea of like, well, hey, let me buy your products off of you that you already spent money on. Price dropped him. And it was just an older guy, I think wanted to give me a shot. He's like, you know what? That seems fair. I'm kind of tired of doing it. And then we just did it. Boom. And it was done. And I was like, wow, okay. So it just depends on what that person wants. Like, yeah. It was fun.
I love that. I love that. I'll tell the story of my first deal because it was actually kind of funny. So I was selling Vivint and I'm knocking doors, getting my butt kicked. Like I bageled my whole first week.
Oh shoot.
So like it was bad. I was down bad. And then finally I like walked past this house and it's this old black lady. She's with her grandson and like they're just playing in the backyard. And I just like start like talking to her. And then like I wasn't even pitching her and I was just like, oh, like, do you think do you have any water like I could have? Like, so she like goes in, she's walking to her house. She locked herself out of her house.
Oh crap.
And I was like, I actually sell these like automated locks. She was like, really? Because I do this a lot. And I was like, I could fix that. And so, yeah, I didn't even know how to like do hardly anything.
Just the perfect problem showed up and you were there.
Just the perfect problem. And it was kind of like too good to say no to at the time. It was like, well, like, that's what you got offering. Like, yeah, I clearly got this problem. Like, let's solve it.
That's crazy.
So, but it's fun how it all kind of like comes to be. It happens like that. Yeah. And then like there are principles we can take away from this too. It's like, you know, this guy wanted to give you a shot and he just was kind of like, you know what? Like I could go through this, but in the end, I'm tired of doing it myself. Yep. He presented the problem to you in which you had your solution. And that's really what all sales is about. Yeah. Is identifying problems.
Yeah. And like for you, it's timing. Yeah. Like there's so many times on the doors where everything's perfect, but they're running out to go pick up their kid. Yep. And they just won't do it. And it's only because of timing. Like there's so many times. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's nuts. Yeah. So let me ask you what, in sales, what is your specialty? Is there like a certain objection you're good at overcoming? Are there certain neighborhoods you're particularly good at that other people are bad at?
I really don't think area matters. If Zach drove one thing into us this year, it's the area does not matter. If there's one thing I'd say is like my specialty, it's just like making them feel comfortable, moving them around the house, like getting them talking, like not just talking at them, just making them feel comfortable enough to like open up a little bit. I would say I'm pretty good at that.
How do you do that?
It's a good question. It's a lot more rapport based, you know, in between your questions of getting bug drops and rolling out price and like getting them around the yard to talk about stuff. I feel like though, once you do get them off that front porch, like you're not the salesman anymore. You're not the door-to-door rep. You're way more of like the guy that can help them, the buddy, the friend, like actually looking for a problem to fix.
Yeah.
And when you're able to show the customer that, it helps way more than just like driving it in them right at their doorstep. Like actually showing it to them, making them feel comfortable, asking them questions about their backyard, if they have a pool, trampoline, like dogs, kids, like way more about that stuff, just that they know like, okay, this guy isn't here to just like drive this down my throat.
Yeah. So it's like that transition point of like, we're doing the walk around where that's when like the walls come down.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're able to get inside or get out back or on the side or in the garage or just step out into the front yard, I feel like people just open up way more rather than staying on the doorstep with their hand on the door handle. Yeah. Yeah. It opens up people up.
Love it. Love it. What's your sales process like? How long does it take from initial door knock to signing the deal?
In Jersey, it's a little bit quicker. You kind of get your nose way quick, which can be frustrating. But sure, it also means you get your yeses a little bit quicker too. So, I mean, from the time I knock the door to the time I leave, I'd probably say between 5 and 15 minutes I'm out of there. Okay. So pretty quick. Pretty quick. In Georgia, it's probably like 15 to 25, a little bit longer. Yeah. Just because they want to talk more. But yeah, this year is more like 5, 15. I'm in and out.
All right. So that's pretty quick. Yeah. What would you say was like the number one objection you got?
It's always a spouse.
Always a spouse.
Always a spouse. Yeah. And it's not like a real objection most of the time. But yeah, like the one-leggers, I think is just the biggest one. It's hard to catch them at home, especially in New Jersey, because everybody's working in New York. So like it's only the housewives are home or like the nanny or, you know, a lot of times it could be the father or the dad there. But yeah, definitely the spouse one. Yeah.
How did you overcome it?
Well, it kind of depends on the situation. You know, it's very situational with that because a lot of people either say it just to say it because they don't want to make a decision. Yeah. And so for some people it's real. But I think the wife one, this was like the normal response for a lot of us would just be like, so you'd obviously ask them, they'd be like, oh, you know, I got to talk to the wife, run a buyer, talk to the husbands. I would just try to blow through it as fast as I could. I'd be like, hey man, nobody likes bugs. Like, what's your wife's favorite bug? Like immediately say that and then just keep going. Like, don't give it a whole lot of attention because the more attention you give it, the realer it becomes. Like if you ask, oh, when is she going to be home? Oh, do you think you could call her real quick? Like those are kind of your last options. If you can't get through it, if they say it 6 times, like I got to talk to my wife. But other than that, I would just try and like kind of blow through it because we can all spend $100 on pest control. Yeah. Like most of the time, you don't need to ask your spouse for it.
Yeah. I mean, really though.
Like really, like nobody cares what company they have. All they care is that the bugs are gone and they're getting a good deal. Yeah. And that's like one of the lines I would say a lot is like, listen, your husband, I'm sure he doesn't care who's killing his bugs. Just that the bugs are gone and he's getting a good deal, right? Right.
Ooh, I saw that head. Yeah,
exactly. You
got me in that.
Yeah. And then I would just try and blow through it from there, you know, hit him with a price drop, make him bite on it or with a free add-on or something like that, just to make it make more sense for them.
I like it. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Again, it's little things like that, guys, like little redirects, the head nod at the end. Yep. Like, if you're watching this, I totally mirrored it. He got me with that. And again, it's like a lot of guys will just use the spouse objection just as a way to get out of being uncomfortable with being closed. Whereas most of the time they know it's okay if they get this.
Yeah. Most of the time they don't got to run it by the husband or the wife.
So again, you'll have the like occasional like weirdo who like actually is like adamant, like, no, like I don't ever buy anything without telling my spouse. Yeah. But
no, very situational.
Again, very situational. So spouse objection a lot. Or remind me, there are a lot of switchovers in Jersey.
There's a good amount. Is a lot of like very small companies. So like it was easy to, you know, user reviews like, hey, we have this many more people using us that are happy, and then their website would have 7 or 11 reviews or something. And like out there is a lot more smaller companies doing it, but you know, switchovers were there. Definitely more in Georgia, a lot more saturated down there. Yeah. But yeah, you know, I would say it's like 50-50 switch over to like not having a company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's a decent balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because talking to guys, it's like I've talked to Golden Door winners that it would be like, I hated switchovers. And then now I'm at the point where if they say they have a company, I'm like, oh, I got a sale.
Yeah. No, I would much rather them have a company than not, because then they already like see the value in having pest control, and you just have to show them how you can do it better and give them a better deal. But if they don't have pest control, then you have to show them the whole reason of why they need it in the first place, which is hard to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. What's your secret to building value?
Like in a switchover?
Just in general.
In general, I don't know if I have a specific secret, but I would say it really doesn't matter like how good you spray the base of the house, how good you treat the whole yard, or wipe down the eaves, or do the garage. Like if the customer doesn't care that you do the garage, it doesn't matter. So I would say just figure out what that customer actually cares about and focus on building that value towards them. Like a lot of older men care more about the yard and their back patio and their garage. A lot of women care more about the inside and that their kids won't have spiders on them. And in the garage, bugs won't be in their car, stuff like that. So I just sculpt it to that customer rather than just driving like all these benefits and features down their throat.
Yeah.
Figure out what they care about. Sometimes it is just money.
Problem solution.
Exactly. Just figure out what they want.
Yeah. Which makes a ton of sense, because if we drive those benefits on them or those features on them and they don't care about it, then you're just another salesman.
Exactly.
So I love that. So shifting gears a little bit over into D2D Con coming up. So January 25th through the 27th, we're excited to have you, welcome you on stage.
Thank you.
We were talking a little bit before the podcast about how you were in the crowd watching the Golden Door winners.
Yeah, there's a door right here. I was watching you guys, or all the grit guys, give it to Sam last year.
Yeah.
Or 2 years ago.
What was your experience like at D2D Con?
It was great. You know, there's a ton of speakers there. It was cool to hear a lot more, not just about like pest control or sales. Like there's a lot more to learn there than just that stuff. But also like seeing all those guys up on the stage and like hearing them talk in like the Golden Door panel or the $1 million panel. And just like getting to hear how they tick. That again, like they're just human. They wake up, they do the same stuff everybody else does. They poop, they do it all. And like getting to see that though up in person is like, one, it gave me the drive to like, oh, I can be up there. I want to be on that stage.
Yeah.
But the whole experience was amazing. I mean, there's so much to do there other than just like, you know, go see everybody up on the stage. There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we're all excited to like, quite frankly, I'm just excited to hang out with everyone.
Yeah, you got the cool job. You get to see and pick everybody's brain.
I know. I get to pick everyone's brain, like get to make friends with everyone. Yeah. It's like, it's going to be a freaking party, D2D Con for me. So we're going to live it up. Again, stoked to have you up on stage. Thanks, your time has come. You think you'll do Golden Door again?
Oh, for sure.
So this is the standard now.
Yeah, I mean, if I do less, I mean, that's not a good look. I want more for sure.
Whatever you obtain, you have to maintain.
Exactly.
Love that, man. Well, cool. Well, before we let you go, you got any parting words for the industry?
No, man. I mean, I'm super grateful for the whole industry. It's very cool to see what you guys have like done with it and help it grow. It's been amazing to like watch it grow and give all these opportunities to so many other people that have maybe never thought of anything like this. So you guys are doing great. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here, man. Love it. Well, Bailey Stanley, it's been amazing having you on the Golden Door Deep Dive. Everyone, D2D Con 7, January 25th through the 27th, Salt Lake City. Get your tickets as soon as you can. We'll probably be selling out. So definitely get those sooner rather than later. So everyone, tune in next time for the Golden Door Deep Dive. Plenty of tips and tricks to be had. Lots to learn. Time to level up. Let's get you on the Golden Door stage for the next D2D Con 8, if you didn't hit it this year. So take what you've learned from Bailey, take what you've learned from all these other guys, and let's go apply that knowledge. Heck yeah.
All right, we'll see ya.